I have always loved comic books. Problem is, I grew up kind of poor. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, so the only access to comics that I had was the local library. They had like 2 shelves of comics, and what they had in stock had all been manhandled by a bunch of snotty kids. Like me. So I grew up rereading the same 6 issues over and over until all the pages had fallen out. Now I'm a grown man. I've moved on to greater things, but something in the back of my mind kept pulling me back to the good old days. And that's when I realized I've got money now. And I think I'd like to finish the stories that I started when I was younger. This is Ultimate Nostalgia. Hello and welcome back to Ultimate Nostalgia. Today we are going over Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, Learning Curve. But in the wise words of the unnamed man from The Legend of Zelda, it's dangerous to go in alone. Here, take this. That's right, it's my co-host, Comic Man Boy, a.k.a. My brother David.
Yep, that's me. Still don't like the name.
Still don't care. Anyway, how'd you like Spider-Man Learning Curve?
It was good. I think there's a lot of good stuff in this arc. I don't think it's as tightly packaged as the previous arc from Spider-Man, but there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Yeah, I don't think the quality per se is any less than the first volume. Volume 1 is a good self-contained story that includes, Spider-Man's origins and his first fight with a supervillain. And Volume 2 is just as good, but it has to do a lot more legwork. It does a lot of world building. It does a lot of character building. It does a lot of work, but the story isn't quite as full circle as Volume 1. I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I don't want to say it's not as tightly knit, because it's still really effective. It does a good job. It's just as a standalone piece, not quite as strong as Volume 1.
Yeah, and I think Learning Curve is a good name for
Very
this
good. Yes.
volume because this is very much Peter Parker learning how to deal with
curve.
being Spider-Man. The learning curve, exactly. Learning with the curve. Yep. Learning how to balance his work life with his personal life, with his other relationships, and being a superhero, and and how do you go about doing a superhero? At first, he's really gung-ho, and he gets himself into more than he can handle, and he has to rethink his, how he goes about being a superhero. So,
yeah. Volume 2 covers issues 8 through 13, so 6 issues, and it's pretty good.
We start off with Spider-Man taking on one of his recurring, almost joke characters that he always runs into, the Shocker, and takes him out pretty quick.
Yes, or as Spider-Man refers to him, the Vibrator.
The Vibrator, yeah. Spider-Man's always quick with the joke.
Quick with a wit.
Yeah. And I like the design of the. I almost called him the Vibrator.
The Vibrator.
I really like the design of.
It's very discreet
too.
It's a great compact design for a vibrator. A shocker.
Goodness.
Yeah, it jumps right into it. This is the first panel. It opens up with him taking on a street level bandit, who I really like the artwork too. How they have it, vibrating. And but yeah, what you brought up,
right?
he's learning how to become a superhero. He learns from his mistakes, and after the fight, he goes over it and says, I could have taken this guy out with one punch and disarmed him, but because I wanted to put in my little quips and jokes, I put other people in danger. He also realizes I could have handled that better, and people almost got hurt because of me in the second panel. Great action shot of the Shocker getting shocked.
Yeah. And I like the aftermath of him too. You know, from the perspective of the police officers, there's just some crazy wacko dude just trying to rip off the van and steal it.
They think
And then
he's
here
there for the
comes
money
another
too.
costumed hero,
Yeah, it's
beat
great.
up the other thug, and he's like, "Yeah, just take the money." And he's like, "No, dude, I don't want the money. I just saved your life. I'm the hero here." And he does a little introspective. He's like, I could have easily just taken that money.
Yeah, he goes like, yeah, I could have made a
Solved the
fortune
problem.
yesterday, but I didn't. Yeah.
There's a little bit of internal monologue there. So then he goes, he realizes that people are searching for photos of
Right. Going right
Spider-Man.
off of like the money that he could have made by robbing people. It's like, oh, I could do this more ethically because he hears that the Daily
Mhm.
Bugle,
Daily Bugle,
the Daily Bugle, not the Daily Planet,
not the
is
Daily
looking
Wire either.
not the Daily Wire. They're looking for pictures of Spider-Man. We're looking for pictures of Jesus.
Yeah.
Daily Wire. Yeah. He's a menace because they're Jews.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, it took me a while to.
He's
Your joke was like
it wasn't good.
three
We
steps
can move.
removed
We can
from-
move right. We can move right along.
We'll cut that out.
We're gonna keep it.
Keep it rolling.
I'm leaving it in just to spite you.
It was your bad joke, man. Do whatever you want.
I don't think it was funny.
Yeah, so here we meet, have Peter Parker meet J. Jonah Jameson and Ben Urich. It was a great little interaction here. Betty Brant is, interestingly, she's not aged down like the rest of the main characters, because originally she was kind of a love interest to Peter, but
Yeah, Peter's
he never made a
15 in
move,
the
so
comics.
nothing happened. So Betty Brant is still an adult working at the Daily Planet, and she's trying to, while Peter's trying to sell his photos, she's working on the website or something, and it's not working. And Peter overhears what's going on and fixes it for her.
And he gets a job.
And he's offered a job right on the spot, which is great.
Right, which leads into my favorite moment from the whole comic, which is Jameson offers him a position to help with the website and also take pictures of Spider-Man. And he's like, sure, but you just got to talk to Aunt May. And
Yes, that part's good.
Jameson is walking over everybody in this entire scene, and then he has to talk to Aunt May, and he's just completely speechless and stuttering the whole time because she's crazy. And I really like Aunt May's character in Ultimate Marvel so far. So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, he's just at a loss for words, and then he hangs up and says to Peter, "You ever do that again, I'll toss you out a window."
Yeah.
It's good.
Also, a little bit of foreshadowing. I didn't realize that till just now.
Does someone get tossed out a window? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, so then the very next page,
Yeah, that's why I left it up.
2 pages, the art style changes, which is an interesting choice, and I was confused at first. And it's not. It's interesting what they do, because it's essentially a dream sequence.
When I first saw it, I thought it was like an ad for another Spider-Man run in the main universe. So it's like,
yeah.
They do that a lot in comics, right? They'll
Yeah.
especially in the the floppies. They'll be like, oh, hey, also if you like Spider-Man, you should read the other Spider-Man that we're doing right now.
Yeah,
But it's not. It's the same. It's the same comic.
yeah, but it's very interesting because it's a little bit more detailed, a different, slightly different art style.
It's different because it's a
And-
dream sequence. Which you
Right,
quickly
yeah,
find out.
which was a very interesting take. And I really like how they did it, because basically with traditional comic book artistry, you have the black and white, or just the black inkings for all the lines,
Right.
and then you have someone else generally come in and color everything.
Mhm.
And so this one doesn't have the stark inkings; it's just a very highly detailed, almost
Right.
like colored pencil texture, with lots of different shading, and it's missing that fine, crisp details.
Yeah.
And so it gives it an interesting look that is different than the normal.
What I
drawing
like
style.
about it too, though, is that it clearly it's the same artist drawing it.
Yeah.
So the proportions are all the same. It's the same art style. It's just executed in a different manner, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah, it's
wh-
still
which
Mark
is
Bagley is the penciler,
right. Which
and then they have several different people doing the colors. But
it's a cool approach to doing a dream sequence, because if you're doing a dream sequence on film, it's usually the opposite way around, right? If you have a movie or TV show and you're having a dream sequence, it's usually less detailed, right? More
ethereal and abstract.
more ethereally abstract. You got smoke and shadows because you want it to be vague. You can't really do that in a comic book because you're kind of starting with less details. So to go the opposite direction in a dream sequence and go more detailed is a really clever way of doing that. It's using the medium well. Yes.
Yeah. But it's great because even though it is more detailed in the shading, because you don't have those crisp lines, it also feels a little softer and more dreamlike.
Yeah.
So
it's done really, really
a
well.
bit fuzzy. So yeah, that was really good. And then this issue ends with him using his resources at the Daily Planet. I did it again. At the Daily Bugle.
At the Daily Wire.
To eavesdrop on some conversations about Wilson Fisk and how he's like an untouchable person and everybody knows that he's dirty, but nobody can pin anything on him. And he's like, okay,
right,
maybe this is a job for someone outside of the law, outside of, traditional.
Right. And he's interested in the first place because he's reminded of his uncle's killer.
Yes.
And he finds a connection to between that killer and Wilson Fisk. And so now he's like, oh, there's organized crime that might have contributed to my uncle's death. This is something that I can take care of, because he's also regretting his actions from the first volume of not ticking on his responsibility, which led to the death of his uncle. Cool stuff. That's issue 1.
8, rather.
Right. Issue 8. So yeah, then in issue 9, we get introduced to Wilson Fisk's baddies.
The Enforcers. Yeah, it was really great to see the Enforcers in here because they're a trio of characters that are all throughout the original 616 era comics, both in Spider-Man, Daredevil, and X-Men. They pop up in there as B-level, maybe even C-level baddies.
Yeah.
But it's really good. I like their design. Ox is fantastic in here.
Ox is the big guy.
He's the big man.
He wears his name on his chest in a silver chain, which is ostentatious to say the least.
I really like his look. In the originals, he was a big,
too goofy,
burly man, but he had like red curly hair, and it was weird.
I like his design a lot.
His design here is good. Guess what? A race swap actually works this time. It looks good. It fits the character.
Cool.
But yeah, and then there's Fancy Dan and Montana Jack. I always forget this last guy's name.
I like Montana Jack. He has
Montana Jones. I don't know.
I like Montana, whatever his name is. He has a bolo tie and a hat and a bullwhip for some reason, and he uses it. He uses it in fights. He whips it out. And
not very successfully.
He whips it out, and every single time he uses it in these issues, it gets used against him. Spider-Man does the same move on him every time. He tugs on it, and it yanks Montana towards him and punches him in the face.
Yeah. Well, I think there is one time. Well, actually, yeah, right here he grabs him around the neck.
Yeah, he gets him around the
neck.
neck.
But yeah, he quickly turns that to his advantage.
There's some really great action in these scenes in
these panels. Yeah,
it's a really well illustrated. You can see where the action's going.
And I like the conversation that's happening before Spider-Man attacks. He's just kind of staking out and watching and listening to these guys, and they're kind of talking about their boss, the Kingpin, and some of them haven't met the guy. And Ox, in particular, he's like, I haven't met him, but I bet I could take him. He's not as tough as people say he is.
Probably take him in a fight. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then once we meet, you see in these panels how much bigger Ox is than these other two. And then once we meet the Kingpin,
it's a different story.
He's on a completely different playing field.
Kingpin, I absolutely love the design of Kingpin. He's
done really well.
Comically huge, something that could obviously it would not work in live action, but you can get away with something that disproportionate in the comics. And even, Spider-Man himself, he's disproportionately small. Like there's not a human on Earth
he is scrawny.
that looks like that doesn't live in Africa, And even then they wouldn't have those muscles.
So he tangles with the enforcers, and like I said, Montana gets the whip around his neck, but he flips over and pulls the whip towards him and smacks him, and almost takes them all out until this other dude shows up that I also forgot his name because he doesn't last long. Spoilers.
Spoilers, David. Spoilers. Yeah. The enforcer's boss shows up and realizes if he's looking for Fisk, it's an opportunity that he can take out a boss that he doesn't like because they work for him, but he doesn't quite like him. So he sets Spider-Man up and he sets Fisk up. He says, "Hey, if you want him, he's opening his tower tonight, and he would really hate it if you bombed that party." And then the feds show up and ruin all the fun.
Yeah, those stinking feds. So again, just like in the beginning of the episode or the last issue, when he has the run cops, and I know I keep saying episode instead of issue. The last issue, he fights the Shocker, and the cops think that he's another villain. The feds show up here to bust these enforcers that they've been shadowing, and they think that Spider-Man is part of it.
Yeah, the feds show up, ruin all the fun, but there was one panel after this that I wanted to share that was a little bit confusing. You have Spider-Man jumping over the feds that are interrupting, and then it cuts to Fancy Dan or Montana. I can't remember who it is.
Montana Jack, has
saying, "Oh, we were just minding our own business, and he came and attacked us," right? But he looks identical to the Fed. Like he's got the same haircut.
Yeah, you're right.
Same jawline. They look like the same person. The first time I read that, it was a little bit confusing.
Yeah, which is also the same haircut as Peter Parker himself.
Yeah,
every single person, Mary Jane a little bit.
Every single character has the same haircut. Even this big fat newsstand guy, he's got the same haircut. They've got the real 90s pronounced bangs. Even the lady.
Yeah, it's just the lady Fed. It's basically the same, just a little more slick back.
Yeah, it was also confusing because you can see here he's got a white shirt on, and previously he had like a green. See, he's got a green collar here.
So that might be
or a blue collar, depending on who it is that's talking.
You're right.
They all look the same.
It's either Fancy Dan or Montana Jack, but
yeah,
right. That might be a mistake on the colorist.
Could have been drawn a little bit better.
Yeah, that could have been an issue with the miscommunication between the pencilist and the colorist, which we'll get into later. There's another. I really do like the artwork though. It gets me super nostalgic. Yeah.
I think it's the perfect balance between like the old school styles and the newer, all fully digital styles. I really liked this era of comics.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so then on the next page, Peter's reading the news articles, and Spider-Man
he gets framed as the bad guy again.
Look at him, number one,
life,
right? Yeah. But in the back in the newsstands, you get a bunch of Easter eggs of other things happening in the Marvel.
Mutants, you get Fantastic
there.
Four.
It says Mutant Menace, maybe. There's Fantastic Four, yeah.
Reed Richards.
So fun little nods to other things that are happening that we'll get to shortly.
Yeah, there was the Punisher is also mentioned.
Yes,
in this. They mentioned a guy running around with a skull on his shirt. I like
references thrown in there.
Even though Spider-Man is the first foray into the Ultimate Universe, he's jumping into a universe that's full of superheroes. He's not the first one. It's an interesting way to start.
Yeah, I agree. So then what else happens this issue?
You get Peter back in school, and what I think, and something that they do that's interesting is most of the kids are really gung-ho about about Spider-Man. Like, oh, did you see he did
Oh,
this
yeah.
on TV too? But they also have one character who kind of has PTSD from the attack on the school, and
Yeah,
she's like,
Liz
"Can you guys
Allen.
just stop talking about Spider-Man? Like that was a really rough day for me." And I think I thought that was a really cool aspect to add into the story. But Peter gets asked on a date by Mary Jane,
Yep.
and then he goes to work, and we gotta share more Jameson because
Jameson's great, man.
he's great. You know, he's at work, and for the second time in the series, we are reintroduced to the fact that Peter Parker hates smoking.
Yep.
'Cause
Public service announcement.
Jonathan is smoking up a storm, and it zooms in. Please, no smoking. And he's like, this Jonathan guy, I'm not a big fan of because he breaks the rules.
Not only that, but then Peter Parker decides to go and infiltrate the Fisk building.
Oh yeah, it immediately
he's
happens.
able-
It's like 2 pages, literally
Yeah.
2 pages later.
He's
The
able to
reason
get
he's
in.
able to break into the Fisk Tower is because Fisk is a smoker. Disgusting habit, but it means that his window's open.
Yeah, it's
Fantastic. I think Brian Michael Bendis might have had a thing against smoking.
Something like that, yeah. You remember when comics used to push like good moral values?
Yeah, right?
Right. Man, those are the days. But yeah, I love the ending panel for
Great.
this issue.
Great
he's broken
introduction
into
of
Fisk
Kingpin.
Tower. There's a camera that's seen him, and then there's this big figure of Kingpin looming over him, and you see just how big his hands are. It's just comically huge, the size of Spider-Man's torso. It's fantastic.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. Which if you go to the next issue,
He's even
issue
bigger.
10, he's even bigger here. But then when he actually grabs Spider-Man,
here,
you can see his hand is as big as his whole arm.
He gets shrunk down a little bit,
and then his hand shrinks when he grabs him a little bit. So a little bit of artistic license there, but I love it. It's
huge, so great. I also like Kingpin's characterization. Right, he's not like a super evil genius. He's really smart. He's somewhere in the middle. He's not a super evil genius, and he's also not just a mindless thug. He's somewhere in the middle. He's really smart, but when he's also very emotional, and when his emotions take control over him, he kind of turns more brutish, and you see that in this next fight actually. And we get introduced to Electro in this same panel.
Yeah,
which I don't hate him, but I don't love this design for Electro. It's mostly just his outfit that I don't like.
Yeah, I agree. Everything else about him is fine, but yeah,
he's got scars all over his face, which is cool. I like his attitude.
A black spandex suit with like a
it's
boob crack in the shape of a.
It's a leather suit.
Bolt,
he's got a boob window, and this was also a choice right here. Him.
Yeah, that is not.
You didn't have to draw him at that angle, and that was a decision that was made. It's such a weird shot.
It is a very awkward shot.
But I really like the lightning effects. I think it looks fantastic. And Spider-Man gets hit. He takes a hit.
He gets whooped pretty bad.
Yeah, he gets whooped. He takes a hit. They pull off his mask, and then they chuck him out the window, which you mentioned was foreshadowed. Earlier.
Yeah, he just tosses him out inconsequentially because he's just a little kid. Don't care about him. Get rid of him.
Yeah, they don't recognize him.
And I love the next panels too because he's falling out the building.
Yeah,
and he catches himself on the side of the building and slides down. And down in Fisk Tower, they're having some grand opening celebration.
Yeah, it's the opening of Fisk Tower is what they've said.
And people just kind of look up at him and then just go on with their thing. And later they say that
they thought it was part of the party.
They thought it was part of the party, some of the entertainment. Yeah, that was kind of funny. And then he gets home, and there's a really good scene with Peter and his Aunt May that I really like. Some good emotional beats.
Yeah, she thinks he doesn't like
and you realize
she
that
thinks he doesn't like her.
Yes, because he's gone all the time. And on one hand, you're like, he's a teenager, right? He's gonna be out doing things with his friends.
Yeah, but
but also he's a superhero, and you realize she's also lost her husband too. She's lost Ben Parker, and now her son is off, spending his time doing superhero things, and he's not there either, and so she's super lonely. And so I really love that. And the question she asked him, do you like me? Am I a good person? Not just because I'm your aunt and you have to like me. You have to like me because I'm family, but do you actually like me as a person? I thought that was a really good heart to heart that they had. And then because he's all beaten and bruised and battered from his fight,
he stands Mary Jane up.
He calls off his date with Mary Jane, and she is not happy.
No. And also Kingpin is not happy because he realizes that the other mob boss sold him out because he obviously heard about the Spider-Man attack on him, and then was like, oh, he attacked me next, so you obviously told him where to go. And then
we see a little bit of his
brutality here. He pops his head like a pimple. So that's cool. I really do like the confrontation. He's like, you never want to get your hands dirty yourself. You make us do all the dirty work. And he's like, no, look, I don't like getting my hands dirty, but that doesn't mean I won't do it. And then, as if to, prove himself wrong, he puts the Spider-Man mask on the guy's head so that his hands don't get dirty when he smashes his skull in.
Yep. Yeah, it's
really
pretty
cool.
Gnarly.
Cool
and here in a couple panels, you can see how big Fisk is compared to Ox and the rest of these fellas. He just looms over them. But yeah, so they discard the Spider-Man mask,
toss him
guy
in the river,
and that comes up later. And then he apologized to Mary Jane, and she's not mad at him anymore.
But yeah, it ends with him realizing he can that he was demasked and it was caught on camera, and that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, so in the next issue, 11, he deals with those repercussions.
Yeah, we get to see him being resourceful too, though. He comes up with a plan to get the details for Fisk's security system by posing as someone who wants to buy it, and then they send him brochures and videos that explain how it all works. It's like, oh, okay, so it's it's got this is how I can break into the system. And my favorite part is that it's so 90s.
It is. It's great.
The recording
this
system.
was 2000s. This is 2000.
Okay, late 90s, early 2000s. The recording system can store 5,000 DVDs, and each DVD can store anywhere up to 12 hours of information. That's a lot of DVDs.
Yeah.
So once he gets the information from the security company, he realizes, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to break into the Fisk Tower and hide my identity. But I'm going to do it smart this time. I'm not going to just run in gung-ho, guns a-blazing, because he learns from his mistakes.
A little bit. He still goes in a little gung-ho.
Yeah, a little gung-ho. He still makes a lot of mistakes.
But yeah, it works out better for him this time. I really like, too, when he's breaking into the security office or whatever, everything is in red. He goes to the security system, grabs the DVDs, and then he's met with the enforcers again. And Electro.
It's a really great panel, though, because he's on the ceiling. They're upside down. It's fantastic.
It's good.
Yeah.
And then issue 12 is the big showdown.
Yeah. Here you get the full... I just don't love the Electro suit.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite.
It's not great.
Don't hate it. Don't love it.
Yeah, issue 12 is the big showdown with the enforcers and Electro here, and I love the beginning panel here. It's just full page across the top, and then another panel at the bottom.
I'm a sucker for the double page spread. You get the nice shot of all the four goons attacking at the same time, and Spider-Man dodging all their attacks. It's a solid, good panel. There's some good action. He uses the bullwhip against the guy.
Yep.
by pulling on it, and it launches the guy into the air so he can kick him in the head.
Classic.
Because the goons don't learn from their mistakes.
Nope. And then he shorts out Electro by slamming into some water cooler or something like that.
Yeah, and you get another great double page spread with that. Electro just blowing up.
Yeah,
And
I love the shot with
using his own powers
face.
against him, just like he did with Shocker. Foreshadowing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Is it foreshadowing or is it lazy? Right. What are we calling this one? No, I think I say that's foreshadowing.
Yeah. So then he beats them all. He's about to reach the exit, and then lo and behold, we come face to face again with Wilson Fisk, and this is where he just goes completely off the walls. Fisk, you really see the more rage-induced animalistic side of Fisk.
Yep.
And just see how freaking jacked he is.
And Spider-Man realizes he needs to be nimble and not get caught, and he's using his smarts against him. Sprays his hands with webs, covers his face, and it's a fun fight. It's a fun fight.
I love too that you just see how strong he is too, because even though he's got his
he can break out of the webbings.
He breaks out of the webbing, but
tears off his face.
It stalls him enough that he's able to escape. And then when he's going through the footage, he realizes that not only is his being demasked on these tapes,
which he destroys that DVD, but he also he finds evidence
of this other dude
and sends it to his coworker, baby.
Yeah. So Ben Urich finally has what he needs to take down the kingpin.
Is it Urich or Uric?
I don't know.
But here's the in Knight's Tale, it's Ulrich von Liechtenstein, right? I mean, I don't know how historically accurate that movie was, so maybe the pronunciation there is bad too. I don't, David. Do you know if in medieval ages they did have queen, right?
As a medieval historian, I can confirm that
was
I
later?
have no freaking clue.
Did queen?
I'm pretty sure.
Was that like Renaissance?
I'm pretty sure it was at least Renaissance. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Leonardo da Vinci.
So it might be a little bit anachronistic, but I think it's fairly close.
So then at the very end of this issue, we have him calling MJ and asking her to come meet him to talk about stuff, and then we see the Kingpin is
he has to
hightailed it out of the country.
Yeah, he has to flee the country.
Yeah, and we'll
see more from later. That's the majority of the action, and then the last issue is just him talking with Mary Jane. That's the entire issue.
That's the entire issue.
But it's still good.
It's still good stuff. It's good conversation. Very nice back and forth, and
it's him realizing he's been hurting her as a friend by not telling her the truth, and so he decides to come clean and tell her that he's Spider-Man. What's interesting is in this issue there are a lot of reused panels, like you can see here on the left. This is the exact same panel of Mary Jane, and even the dialogue remains the same. And over here it's the same. I promise.
Peter,
It doesn't bother me at all because it totally works for because she's waiting for him to say so,
Yeah.
And so it's just okay, just reuse the same panel. Saves money, saves time, doesn't take away at all. Change your lips a little bit,
Yeah.
But
speaking of the lips, though, there's a couple instances in here because you see she has a little
she's
fine spot on her lips, and some of these panels
she's
later
got
on,
a little coal sore on there.
They don't color in her lips. They've got there's several of them. It happens like 4 or 5 times.
Pull that up later.
So that's another.
Yeah, it's right here.
Miscommunication with the inker and the
forgot to color that in.
Yeah.
And
it's not just those panels. It's like
right here. There's 3 in a row where she just has like a flesh glob on top of her lip.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was funny that you noticed that. It's back here and it's colored in. It's just supposed to be like a highlight, like a
little lip shine. Yeah.
Hey.
But that happens in comics sometimes. It's fun to point out, but
especially if you're trying to turn it in on time.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so he tells him that he's Spider-Man, and she doesn't believe him. She laughs, and then he climbs on the ceiling, and she's freaking out. And then I love the just the interaction between them. Like, I thought you were gonna kiss me. Like, oh, that was on the table. Okay, let's do that. And then they get interrupted by
Aunt
May.
because she's a cock block, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do as a parent.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yes,
Some great interaction.
because they were making so much noise, jumping around like Spider-Man. She thinks that there's some hanky panky going on, so she calls Mary Jane's mom and
Tells her to come get her.
and then kicks her out of the house and asks Peter if he's had the talk.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I've had cable.
Uncle Ben, definitely talk to me.
Ben,
I don't need to hear it from you. No,
Yeah.
I really like Aunt May so far.
Yeah.
Also, great.
Also another thing, I really like the line she says right here. It says, "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot." That's the very first line that she says to Peter Parker in the original comics as well when they first meet.
Yeah.
In the original comics, Aunt May is trying to get Mary Jane to go out with her nephew, and the whole time is like, "Hey, Mary Jane was here. You just missed her," and they dangle that for episode on or
issue after issue.
They dangle that for issue after issue, and then finally, when they finally meet, that's the first line she says: "Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot."
Yeah.
So I thought that was fun.
They used the line in the movies too, right?
I don't think it was. I don't remember where it was, but I think they did something like that.
She does call him Tiger in the movies, but I don't think they use that specific line.
Yeah, that's true. She does call him Tiger a lot.
And that is Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2 Learning Curve. You might also notice I've replaced my omnibus with the individual booklets because I like them better and I wanted my whole collection to match. But it also means I have duplicates now. So I have the omnibus and a couple extras that goes all the way through Volume 9 that covers all the way through the Sinister Six. So if anyone wants those, hit me up. I'll sell them to you because they're hard to find. But and I have said it's really hard to collect all of these. It took me an entire year. And David has only collected the you got all the Spider-Man, right?
I got all the Spider-Man. I got the first two
because they just published
X-Men.
the final omnibus.
They finally published the last one, and then
they haven't finished the X-Men omnibus.
The X-Men still have one more, and they just finally came out with, or I think next month they're going to come out with the Fantastic Four.
I heard they're doing
the very first omnibus there. So,
but it's been a very long time to still not have those collections complete. So to get the individual issues, it's actually pretty hard. But I will say, to get them digitally, it is super easy and pretty affordable. Like you can get the digital comics pretty cheap. So if you want to follow along, you can buy those from me or you can get them digitally. But yeah, that was Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2. Next week, we are jumping around a little bit because we're not 100% following publication order. Most of it is going to be publication order, but we're switching some things around so that it's more chronological order. And we're jumping next week to Ultimate Daredevil and Elektra.
I'm excited for that.
Yes, it's a good one. And that's what we're covering next episode. And it'll be a while before we get back to Spider-Man too, because we got to do Elektra, Daredevil. We got to do introduce the X-Men. We actually do Ultimates too before we get back to Spider-Man Volume 3. So that's it for this video. Thanks for reading along with us, and we hope that you rediscovered something old or maybe found something new. But see you next week.
Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If it's true, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel, and you can join us along for the ride. And if you pay me, I'll try to be more entertaining, so please consider joining Patreon and getting your name in the credits with pride.
I'd buy that for $1.